Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to be talking about learning games. I have my very special friends with me, Judy, Sheila, and Lisa, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but we're going to talk all about learning games. So stay tuned. Judy, welcome.
Thanks, Steph. I'm Judy. I'm Sonlight's marketing sales coordinator. I have the privilege of kind of organizing our attendance at various conventions throughout the year, which we certainly are hopeful is going to happen in this year. And also am a veteran homeschool mom. Just have finished pushing 3 wonderful now adults through Sonlight's program and are starting our second generation of Sonlighters. So we're pretty excited.
Very good. Welcome, Sheila.
I am also a veteran homeschool mom. I have 3 kids that we homeschooled. One went to high school, the other 2 went straight through. 2 have graduated from college, and one is in nursing school right now. And I work as a Sonlight mentor and also as a Sonlight consultant at homeschool conventions when we're attending.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Steph. Thanks for having us today. I'm Lisa. I also am a 16-year homeschool veteran. I am sadly not retired yet, finishing up this May. My last of 3 will graduate. I am a Sonlight homeschool mentor, and I also travel around the country when those conventions happen, and I love meeting all the homeschool moms and dads.
Perfect. Well, let's get started. So this is all about learning games. So let's start with why is it important to learn through games, and how can it supplement the academics that your children are working on?
Learning with games just makes learning more fun. It also helps with retention, and you get a little bit more buy-in when you make it into a game as opposed to just a to-do list to kind of punch through.
Sometimes games, they don't even know they're learning, but they are. So I love to use games with my kids because they didn't know they were learning.
Some kids learn better that way. Some kids just don't do well with the traditional workbooks and textbooks. So it's the content we want to teach. So the method of teaching sometimes needs to change a little.
Absolutely. Sometimes you can sit at a table and do the workbook and then take it off the page and make it come to life. Sort of like you do with the living books that you're reading with Sonlight as well. So
right.
Perfect. What subjects can we integrate games into?
Well, I think you can just about get them all going with games. That's right. There's counting in games, there's reading directions in games, or reading cards or whatever, and you can do science and counting and math and all the things.
Yeah, a lot of motion type games. It helps. There's a twofold thing. They learn some content, but it also helps to get the wiggles out. Those really wiggly boys, especially if you can do something outdoors, like a trampoline or something like that, then that helps them get the information in them, but it also helps them to help with the wiggles.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the games. Let's talk about what you've used in your homeschool, what we sort of brainstormed before we pressed record on this video. Let's talk about it. So let's talk about math first. What are some ideas for math?
Lisa's the math pro.
I love the math. I use playing cards lots and lots in math. I play war. I can even do positive and negatives by red and black. They're a great way to just get those math facts without drill and kill. So that's good. Dice are great for math. You can add them, you can subtract them, you can multiply them. Hopscotch is fun for math because that's teaching counting and you're using different parts of your brain because you're moving while you're doing your math facts. So you can integrate math into all the day.
Our family, I'm not a math person. And so we did do some cards and dice. We did Singapore math for our math curriculum, and there are lots of suggestions for card and dice games in the home instructors guides that we have, that Sonlight offers. So I did get a lot of ideas for that from those books. But also we bought Muggins, and it's a board game, and I believe Sonlight even carries it. We bought it before Sonlight did, but it's a really cool board game that's two-sided. There's one game on one side and you flip it over, and there's another game on the other side, Knockout Math, I think it's called. And we played that a few times. My kids killed me because, again, I'm not super good at math, and so it wasn't always my favorite game. I didn't win very, very often, but they enjoyed it, so I took one for the team.
We used to do a lot of math. We would bake together, and so you can do fractions and addition and subtraction through measuring. You can talk about liquid volume and solids and all of those fun things. We also did math when we did laundry. So we matched pairs and we matched colors and sizes. We also did math when we set the table. We would talk about how many people are eating today and how many forks do you need and how many knives. And if I take this fork off the table, how many are left? I mean, really, there's just almost no activity in your day that you can't make into a math game.
You want to know my favorite math activity? Dividing cookies.
Ah.
We did that a lot around the holidays. I was thinking this morning through this, and that was something that we did. Well, we have 36 cookies and we have 4 neighbors. And so when they were smaller, it was certainly 1, 1, 1, 1. But when they got bigger, they could actually do 36 divided by 4 is 9. Oh, I'll put 9 cookies in each package or whatever. So lots of ways, just like Judy said, math is everywhere.
Even Christmas dinner. How many pieces do we have to slice this pie into?
They're fractions right there.
Exactly.
And remainders. What if we don't want a remainder?
We would always want remainders.
Yes.
We're a Yahtzee family. We play Yahtzee a lot.
Yeah.
I've noticed that Yahtzee is huge in adding, so, and in multiple ways. So we play lots of Yahtzee. Pizza night, if you have pizza, anything. Okay, so let's talk about science. What are some games you talked a little bit about baking, Judy. What other things can we do?
So my kids, they really loved to get some of these science kits. I remember we got a butterfly kit one time, and then that was so fun. We got a ladybug kit one time, and then we released the ladybugs into the garden because they eat pests. We also one year got the kids for Christmas, you know, those glow in the dark stars, and we put them on the ceiling in their room, and we made constellations out of them. So we had to look up constellations. And then one time I had gotten them a constellation book, like how to identify constellations. So we would do that at night, go out and see how many constellations we could actually identify in the sky. That was pretty cool. Another thing that we did was, well, there are other books of identification as well. So it's really good if you could get one for your area, because if you get one for North America, you're going to get butterflies that are only in Canada, you know. So if you could get one specific to your region, to your state, or you know, the Southeast or the Northwest or whatever, then you'll actually be more likely to actually spot those things, whether it's birds or butterflies or any kind of bug. So we got to where we would carry this book around with us wherever we would go. And the kids would be like, Mommy, here's a book, look it up. And, you know, it became a game to see how many new things we could spot and then find in our book. One year I got the kids, it was really for me, but I got it for the kids, a bird identification book with a bird feeder. And then we had a little whiteboard that we would write things down when we would spot a new bird. We would try to write them down. And so that became kind of a game, like who would be the one to spot the new bird for this season or whatever.
You can learn about liquids and volume science just with all different sizes of cups and containers and a gallon of water and a towel or two. You know, pour the water into this container, into that container. It looks like a lot of water in a skinny container, but not much water in a flat container, and learn a lot about things just by pouring. And again, because they're getting water on the floor and splashing and having a good time, nobody knows that learning is happening.
Gardening is a great way to learn science. You can learn about photosynthesis and the different parts of a flower or a plant and how long does it take seeds to germinate, and you can make charts, and kids love the satisfaction of turning over the dirt and planting and fertilizing and then seeing fruit for their efforts.
A weather chart is a good way to learn science that doesn't seem like a chore, just to see if it's hot or cold or raining or sunny or cloudy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My husband is a microbiologist, and he comes up with random things he sees all the time, like, you know, the rubber band around the watermelon, and then they did that whole thing, and then they talked about why it exploded and what made it explode and how many, you know, rubber bands it took, and they do the pop with the Mentos and the chemical reaction there, and I just let him because I'm science.
Another fun thing we did was we bought the microscope way before curriculum called for it. And there would be lots of days that we would just pick up random things and see if we could see them in the microscope. So that was a fun. I think it started when we read Greg's microscope for reading. We needed a microscope then. So we love to look at stuff under there.
Yeah, super fun. So let's talk about health. What can we do as games, fun things to learn about health?
Boys. So 2 of the 3 kids are boys, and they were the first 2. So it's boy, boy, girl. So we had lots of things that we would do just to burn a little energy. I do live in Florida. I will put that as a caveat because we spend a lot of time outside. So we did have a trampoline. I know they can be controversial. Some people don't care for them, but we spent a lot of time on the trampoline, and we would do contests. You know, we would play games on the trampoline. We would actually do like even math facts, spelling, like to the bounce of the trampoline, like how many, you know. And so we used the trampoline a lot. We also would do obstacle courses. So I would set up, you know, on their bikes, they would have to slalom through cones, or all kinds of things, you know, commando crawl on your arms and time them. They love, I mean, they're boys, so everything was timed. Can you go get me that book? I'll time you. Ready? Go. I mean, you know, so they would go fast and we would time them. We did spend time in the kitchen as well, and we talked about foods and nutrition and how certain foods will nourish you and other foods do not nourish you. They're just empty calories, and we talked about that. And so now I have boys who can cook. They love to cook. Timothy, the middle one, he's living in a house with 3 other boys, and he is the resident cook. Like, he's worked out some sort of agreement, like, I cook, y'all clean. And they're like, okay. So they don't have a dishwasher, and he's like a typical chef. He uses all kinds of bowls and things, and then he walks away and the other boys clean. So, you know, part of it was nutrition. I mean, I wanted them to learn about real food, whole foods. And then part of it was just, you know, I wanted them to have the skill, and it's paid off. Like, all 3 of my kids are good cooks, but I also like to cook. So.
And along with meal planning, you can have them help you make grocery lists, go to the grocery store, and teach them to look at the ingredients on the back of the box or the back of the can, and is this nutritious or isn't it? How much sodium does it have in it? How much sugar does it have in it? So lots of skills. Not only do you teach your kids to cook, but you teach them how to grocery shop. And so they get old enough and they can do that for you. And then you don't have to do that for a while while they still live with you.
I always found if my kids were involved in the planning and the shopping and all of that, they were much more likely to eat the healthy food than if it was just, Mom made spinach for dinner.
There's also health and safety type stuff. We did field trips where we would go to the local fire station, and then we would come home and talk about stop, drop, and roll, and all of the things that you learn about staying safe in your house as part of your health program.
We have a 2-story house, and both of my girls actually climbed out the window on the fire ladder, which was very learning for them, but they didn't know it. That was just fun. They were just climbing down the house.
I love it. Those are all great ideas. What about spelling? Language in general, maybe.
Yeah, spelling, one of my favorite things, spelling and vocabulary, is to play hangman. And we have a giant whiteboard. We used to have a giant whiteboard in our house, in our kitchen, which is where we did a lot of our school. We are now doing a kitchen remodel, and the whiteboard got moved to the office. So it's no longer at the center of the house. But back in the day when we were still homeschooling, we did have a big whiteboard in the middle of our schooling room. And so we did a lot of hangman. Judy mentioned Mad Libs. I remember Mad Libs. They were so fun. I remember doing them when I was a kid. And so that's a great way to do grammar and, parts of speech and things like that.
Sheila is very good at songs for things that you need to remember for grammar or even spelling. So if you can set it to a tune, that is more fun, or dance. I have a little hand motions to remember all the be prepositions, beside, below, beyond. So that makes it more fun. Kind of like the Macarena, but not.
I might have to.
Or Macarena, I like it.
Sidewalk chalk is a great
Yeah.
way to practice spelling, to practice math facts, anything, because the bigger the motion is, the longer they retain it, they remember it. So we also, when kids were learning to read and learning how to spell, I had flashcard labels all over my house. There was a card that said couch on the couch and a card that said table on the table. And so they learned to read those words and spell those words because they saw them every day.
I have an ADHD child, and we have labels all over his room. Still, it helps him organize everything, and he had to create the labels, so he had to write them. Anyway, he still has it. The other thing is we play Scrabble a lot and bananagrams. Have you guys ever heard of bananagrams?
Oh yeah.
We love that game here.
Boggle, we played Boggle.
Oh yeah, Boggle's another one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lots of board games that I can think of that could incorporate math or spelling or anything like that. So,
well, even games like Trivial Pursuit or trivia type games where you have to read the question when it's your turn. Sure. Monopoly, you have to read the cards, you have to count the money. Lots of those games, my children call them old-fashioned games. The old-fashioned games, Mom, they really help, but they do. They have, all the, you have to use your brain, you have to read, you have to count, you have to strategize. That's another thing. But if you're having a family game night and everyone's enjoying themselves, no one knows that you're learning.
Yeah. And DVDs or CDs. I mean, Sonlight has the Mathtacular series. What a great, fun way to reinforce math facts. So, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Well, I really do hope that you guys have found this informational. We've inspired you to get some games going in your house that can really help as you start the new year, your new homeschooling year. So thank you guys so much for joining and sharing your ideas.
Thanks.